Ok, så vi har blitt enige om, ja, velkommen Nick, sheriff.
Thank
Dette
you.
andre taket, vi gjorde en liten tabbe her. Så. So,
We are all humans.
Ja, we are all humans. Så vi har blitt enige om at det beste at du får lov å snakke engelsk som du litt flinkere i, og så snakker jeg norsk. Det har vi hatt en podcast her, og det gikk kjempebra. Det litt mer komfortabelt for deg også å snakke på det språket, ikke sant? Så slipper man å hakke sånn litt.
Of course, I've just lived here for 8 years, so you know, my Norwegian is pretty limited.
No, it's okay, but nei, skal jeg prøve å snakke norsk. Nei, den bra, men altså alltid når man snakker på et fremmedspråk, så blir det litt mer hakkete, ikke sant? Det litt, ja. Jeg merker det på engelsk når jeg var i Thailand en lang stund og bare måtte snakke engelsk med folk som ikke kunne ordentlig engelsk, og hvor slitsomt det egentlig og ikke kunne få bable i vei fort på sitt eget språk. Men engelsk vel ikke egentlig hovedspråket ditt?
I come from Sri Lanka, so I speak 2 other languages, which is Tamil and Sinhalese. But since I've been living out of my country for so long, so I'm a foreigner in my own country, so English has become it's like my mother tongue now.
Ja.
So I'm more comfortable in English than my
mother tongue. Ja. Blir man, det å lære seg nye språk, det bra for hjernen?
Of course, yeah. There's a study that says that if you speak more than 3 languages, you automatically become much more, it's easier to educate you. It's easier for you to grasp new concepts.
Og så ikke bare det, men hvis vi hører på dialekter for eksempel fra Kristiansand eller Nord-Norge, eller sånn som jeg prater fra østkantdialekt, så det ikke bare dialekten. Det litt med lynne også. Ikke sant? Så med å snakke forskjellige språk, så kan man litt forandre litt grann karakter også, eller?
I believe so. I think so. I think it's because my ex, she comes from North Norway. Yeah. So you see the funny, you know, sort of humoristic way of communicating. Whereas I have a cousin, or I have family who comes from Stavanger, and it's much. It's
different.
It's different, yeah. So
if it's like that with the dialects in Norway, it must be like this little bit with the languages also.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, I have issues understanding people from Bergen, for example, and certain people. So
vi skrur av telefonen, da. Hæ? Eller ta på flymodus, eller gir ikke ha sånn pling hele tiden.
Mine is on. Mine is on flight mode, so it's not me.
Oh, must be, no, everybody's shaking their head. Okay.
Let's go.
Let's go. But you're here to talk about really Media Monday, and how I met you the first time. You didn't, fy faen, nå prater jeg jo engelsk. Ja. Så først, jeg har egentlig møtt deg en gang før, skjønner du, og du husket det ikke egentlig før vi satt opp i sofaen her. Og det var, når jeg første gangen så The Great Reset foredraget til Mr. X, da hadde Barbro lagt ut noe på Facebook. Det en ganske morsom historie, for jeg var overbevist om at jeg måtte gå dit sammen med henne, fordi hun var advokat, og jeg fikk liksom inntrykk at dette var så seriøst, og her var det bare advokater, og det var av advokater og for advokater, så jeg kunne ikke komme inn der uten å være advokat. Det morsomme at jeg og Barbro var der egentlig mandagen før. For det var mandag, ikke sant?
Yeah.
It's
Media Monday.
It's Media Monday.
It has to be on a Monday, right?
Of course. Så vi kom dit en mandag for tidlig. Og så, da var det jo ingenting der, så da dro vi og hørte på Petter Amundsen fortelle om den skattejakten hans på Oak Island i stedet, og så dro vi tilbake neste mandag. Og da...
So it wasn't a waste at all?
No, it wasn't a waste. Det første foredragsholderen var en advokat som var på Zoom fra Danmark, som hadde en veldig interessant måte å gjøre det litt billigere å få advokathjelp på, men så tenkte jeg, ja, det interessant det. Og så plutselig så kommer Mr. X der med det foredraget om The Great Reset, og står og holder det foredraget foran masse advokater, og jeg bare, oh my god, tenkte jeg. Han må bare komme på podcast og prate om det der, for jeg hadde allerede skjønt at det der, fordi jeg var nede og dypdykket i dette her for lenge siden, og var innom det naturet, og liksom free man on the land, og det der med lovsystemet, det hadde jeg vært borti før, og jeg følte så sterkt at der noen løsninger. Så når han stod der og pratet om det synes jeg var litt morsomt, og da måtte jeg ned og løpe ned og få tak i han. Men det også en god venn av deg, det der.
Yeah, we've been friends for a long time, and he's a very high-profile person in Norway. So I dare not talk about things which I find a little bit controversial, or what other people find controversial. But then when the pandemic went mainstream in 2020, I think it was March, and then I realized what it was all about, and I was being the sort of aggressive person, or the fearless person who likes to speak out, speak my mind out. I started speaking about it on social media, and surprisingly, he was the only person, or one of the few, who actually backed me up.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, X, what are you doing? This is bad for your own personal reputation.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized his commitment. He didn't care about his reputation. He was just as committed as I am towards speaking the truth and bringing it out. So then once you
Because this was early in 2020.
Exactly.
Og da var, alle husker jo det, hvor hard og vanskelig det var å gå ut og si noen ting den gangen. Det var, du ble kuttet.
I was attacked. I mean, I had my professional LinkedIn profile shut down, my professional Facebook profile shut down. My LinkedIn had over 12,000 connections. So I was ready to lay it all down. This was war.
Yeah. Så du satset så på det?
Yeah.
For meg var det jo ingenting å tape. Jeg hadde ikke noe problemer med å gå ut med det der. Men jeg skjønner at mange så hadde mye å risikere på å gå ut og si noe der.
Oh yeah, no big, go big or go home, right? I mean, we're sportsmen, right? So no risk, no reward. So this was our calling that we've been waiting for. And I've been awake since my childhood, but 2008, I knew what was going on in the world, and we tried to inform everyone. We were looked upon as conspiracy theorists. But then when the pandemic happened, it was our time.
It is really, huh? Så den pandemien har egentlig vært en utløsefaktor for en forandring i samfunnet, som når han Klaus Schwab sier at dette the Great Reset, så det det.
Yeah.
Det det.
It is.
It is. Ja. Fordi vi ser en slags stor forandring blant folk. Det ikke alle som like raske på avtrekkeren, men det kommer flere og flere nå og ser at det noe alvorlig gærent med det som foregår. Og de klemmer jo til også, så jeg vet ikke hvor de skal hen med dette her, men vi flere og flere som våkner også, så det blir veldig spennende tider.
It is the most exciting time, and I tell everyone, if you only realize how epic it is to be alive during this period and to experience this great transformation, it's almost equal to being alive when Jesus Christ was around.
Do you think we have chosen to be alive at this time?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. I think our souls are reborn to align perfectly with this time period. And
because because it couldn't have happened in a different time for me to sit here and have this podcast. If it had happened 2 years before, I couldn't have done the podcast. Okay, so I was just in time to fix my life absolutely, so that I could do what I do now. Couldn't have happened any other time. I wasn't ready.
Må du snakke norsk, da?
Ja, jeg skal snakke norsk. Ja, jeg skal snakke norsk. Ja, så for meg det perfect timing på det her.
That's some for my, it's the same for me.
Yeah.
It's the same for me. I felt that my kids were at the right age. that I know they're independent, they're strong, so I could leave them, they'll be taken care of, and I felt that also looking back at my personal experience with Media Monday, which I started 6 years ago, just as a meetup for people to meet and talk about tech and stuff like that. But I learned so much, and when this message needed to come out, when we arrived at this time, that's when I realized that 6 years I've been trained by myself or a higher power to become to be a part of this movement.
Det rart, hæ? Det veldig rart, ikke sant? For meg også, det kunne faktisk ikke ha skjedd på noe annet tidspunkt. Eller jeg kunne ikke fått bidratt med det jeg bidrar med her nå. Da. Så det veldig spennende. Men du har veldig mye interessante gjester hos deg. Hvordan det? Hvor ofte Media Monday? Og hva det? Fortell litt om hva slags konsept det egentlig og vi har jo bare vært på det ene. Og jeg vet det har vært et til, men jeg fikk aldri vite om det. Så hvordan man får vite om disse?
Well, you can join the Media Monday. I'm doing some promotion now.
Klart det?
Yeah. You can join the Media Monday group on Facebook, which is called Media Monday Oslo. So just search for that on Facebook, and you find Media Monday Oslo, and we are disruptors. So you can always type disrupt.no.
Hva betyr det? Disruptors? Forstyrrere? Hæ?
Yeah.
Hva betyr det? Hæ? Ja.
Vi forstyrrer.
Så du kan google, eller du kan type in disrupt også?
Yeah.
Ja.
So then you come to our website.
Ja.
So you can see all the events which are happening, and all the events which happen. You can find all the content, all the video.
Ja, for alt videorekorder også? Alle?
Exactly.
Ja.
Unless the speaker specifically requests not to record if they have some confidential information. Other than that, everything is recorded and everything is published. Yeah.
Hvor mange har dere hatt? Hvor mange sånne eventer har dere hatt?
We've been having 4 events every year since 2016. So I'm pretty sure you can do the mathematics there, right? So we, of course, 2021, we had to cram 4 events within 6 months because of the pandemic, and we got locked. So we just have 4 events a year because we want the events to make an impact in society and, of course, in business. We are mainly sponsored or supported by businesses, which are, of course, we are in technology event. So we primarily talk about technology, but then technology is not the main thing we talk about. We talk about solutions. Yeah. And so our focus is actually to bring in problems that you have both in society as well as industry, business, näringsliv, and then we come up with the solutions. So we discuss solutions, how technology can solve these challenges. So that is the inspiration behind Media Monday. Yes. And so coming back to the point of what we are talking about, the pandemic and what's happening right now. So the inspiration behind it is when me and Mr. X got together and when he explained everything that he knows, more or less, everything from the Vatican to so on and so forth, what's going on right now. And so what I put across to him was like, okay, we know the problem, but what's the solution? And then when we started looking around for solution, we found the World Economic Forum already had the solution. Yeah. Right? The Great Reset. So I said, hey, just because my enemy uses a knife to attack me doesn't mean I cannot use a knife to attack him. You know? So let's take that solution and make it our solution. You know? So that's where the whole inspiration started on this journey towards building a solution. So we don't look at Bill Gates or Klaus Schwab as the enemy. We look at them as the teacher. So who taught us, you know, how to build ourselves, how to rebuild our community, how to rebuild society, how to rebuild the world. And then we looked at all the technology. And we said, hey, we have the same technology. Why not, right? You have a fast car, we're going to build our own, right? So this is where the inspiration came towards, towards solving this current issue that's going on.
Så jeg skal jagge meg gå og se hva dere har. Jeg har ikke fått følt med på det der. Jeg ble litt skuffet når jeg ikke fikk høre at Mr. X hadde vært her for enda en gang, og jeg var veldig nysgjerrig på det der. Så når neste eventet der, og hva skal det handle om?
It's a very important event. It's on the 29th of August, the last Monday in August, and this is all about sustainability.
Sustainability?
Yeah, bærekraft.
På hvilken måte?
Well, basically how to live more sustainably in this planet using technology.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is that today we actually only need to do more or less just 1% of the work that we normally do, because we have technology to take care of the 99%. Right? Everything from artificial intelligence to robotics to drones and autonomous systems and so on. The only reason, if you ask yourself, why we still work for 8 hours, and I would like to, of course, I have to answer this question here and now, is simply because society has programmed us that we have to work to earn a living. So it's a programming. So once you step out of this programming, and once you ideally know exactly what type of technology that you need to continue your life successfully without you killing yourself from 9 to 5, being part of the rat race.
Det interessant, for at jeg begynner å bli drittlei jobben min nå, Nick. Jeg tenkte jeg skulle gå gjennom den herdeprosessen der, og løpe og trene og kjøre hardt, men de har lurt meg litt på jobben der og dyttet på meg mer enn det, så jeg begynner å bli drittlei. Jeg tenkte jeg skal stå der et år, men nå det snart gått et år, så jeg tenker... Så den 29. august skal jeg komme og høre på hva slags løsninger, og jeg inne på tanken om noe, det noe som driver og brygger på noe greier her, så jeg får se hva det blir til, men...
Yeah, it's not just you, it's everyone.
Men jeg har hatt et annet liv over. Jeg har gått nesten alltid uten å jobbe, og det har vært ikke alltid like lett, siden det har vært rus involvert og penger involvert, så det litt mer
colorful.
Når man, ikke sant, man har masse rusmidler tilgjengelig, og man har penger, og ikke jobber du, og driver og fester og sånn, så det lett at det glir ut i noe tull og noe tøys, ikke sant? Så det har vært en sånn greie for meg at jeg skal, ok, nå kan jeg I hvert fall jobbe som en vi får se.
I understand what you're saying, but what I want to, one of the things that we coined.
For vi trenger jo å treffe mennesker, vi trenger å gjøre noe. Altså, det lett for at det blir bare for mange. Altså, så jeg har jo venner som trygda, ikke sant? Og inne I rusmiljøet litt grann, og det blir veldig dårlig liv ut av det. Hvis man ikke har noe gående som noe positivt, for man trenger å bygge, man trenger å bli kjent med nye folk, og knytte nye, man trenger å få noe framdrift I livet sitt. Det viktig. Hvis ikke så, hvis ting krymper til slutt, så sitter du der alene nesten uten penger, og Norge jo veldig, vi ikke veldig mye ute, det ikke veldig mye, ikke sant, gå ut, det koster penger, ikke sant, alt koster penger, så folk krymper noe I noe som jeg kalte for mikroliv, det vi ikke veldig...
I understand what you're saying. One of the things that I wanted to point out is, for the first time in human history, we're actually struggling with abundance. You know, I do not know how to say that in Norwegian. So
no, you don't drink it. Yeah.
So we struggling with abundance. Today, it is not a lack of resources that we struggling with. It's an oversupply of resources. You take a watch. How many watches do you have?
Yeah, I think 10. 10. Altså, jeg hadde en liten crush på klokker her en 8 måneders periode, og kjøpte masse klokker, og så ble det bare liggende I den klokkeboksen der I 3-4 år, men nå begynner jeg å ta dem frem igjen. Det det eneste smykke menn kan gå med.
Why not?
Så det jo litt fint, men... Og du liker klokker, du også?
Of course. But then, the question is, how many shoes do you have? How much clothes that you have that you do not wear? Right. So we are actually struggling in heaven. We're in heaven, but we just do not know how to enjoy it. We have just given up everything for materialism.
Men det viktigste, dette er jeg 100% sikker på, det viktigste vi trenger er menneskelig kontakt med andre. Det har jeg skjønt nå. For jeg sa det til deg oppe, min oppfatning av en podcast, det er liksom hvor bra kontakt får jeg med den jeg snakker med, og alltid når vi er på demonstrasjoner eller sånne seminarer, så er alltid pausen jeg liker best. Snakke med folk, for det menneskelige kontakt er det viktigste man har. Og du kommer jo fra et annet land. Dette er et land her hvor det er mye vinter. Det er dyrt å gå ut og treffe mennesker, så vi blir sittende veldig mye inne her. Vi er litt sånn, det er jo sånn, tenk deg det norske samfunnet for 100 år siden, 200 år siden, hvor vi satt adskilt, og hele vinteren var ikke mye folk, så vi er litt sånn. Jeg ser jo i utlandet hvor folk sitter ute på fortauer og drikker litt te og prater sammen. Det er mye mer sosialt da. Så det savner litt det.
I think personally, for me, I would say, specifically that because I'm a foreigner, so I have a very limited number of friends. Obvious reason, and when I came here with my ex, so she was already pregnant, so there was very limited of her taking me and introducing to her friends and so on, and she was living with me in Dubai for a long time, so she had also very limited friends, and then when my daughter starting to get independent, we had our second son, so it kept me from actually socializing. But then when the pandemic came, I found that almost everyone within my social circle didn't see the way that I saw the world. Right. So that made me reach out on the internet and just reach out to amazing people. And so everyone says you don't make real friendships through internet. I definitely argue against it because all the amazing network that I have right now, it's thanks to the internet.
Det det samme for meg. Folk sier Facebook sånn og melder. Jeg sier, hadde det ikke vært for Facebook, så hadde det ikke vært noen bevegelse, det hadde ikke vært noen podcast, det hadde ikke vært noen ting.
Exactly.
Ingenting. Så det både det ene, jeg skjønner at det total overvåkning, og det alt det dårlige greiene der og alt mulig, men det også en mulighet til oss å ha kontakt med hverandre, og knytte kontakt, og lage... Internet viktig. Internet
It's very important. And when people ask me, how do I find this solution? How do I solve my problem? I just ask him, I'm sorry, have you heard of something called the internet?
Yeah.
Right? It's not about what you have, it's about how you use it. And how creative you are at using this. And I think one of the things that I'm thankful for is coming from a country like Sri Lanka, where we are very, very limited in resources. So for us, this glass is not just a glass; it's 1,000 different things that we can use for. So you become very resourceful, and this is what Media Monday is about. It's about how you become resourceful. And I believe that is a primary need when it comes to being sustainable. If you want to both be happy, because your friend could not just be your friend could be your training partner, your friend could be, a coach, how to dress, right, or how to speak, right? And your girlfriend could not just be your girlfriend, it could be your friend. It could be someone who is supporting in your business. So once you see the value in people for just the face, or what we call the face value, and see beyond that, that's when you really unlock the way you give them the freedom to show you who they are and what they can offer. Exactly like what happened with Mr. X. He's a very respected professional in my network. But when the situation arose, and we realized amongst each other that we were we were very much aligned, way more than just a professional courtesy or professional acquaintance. That's how this whole project started.
Yeah.
You know, so it and thus, you know, we got to meet. You got to be part of the event, and then, you know, Advokat Barbro and all of them has become the event. So and it's created a movement now.
It has. Absolutely. And folk spør meg liksom, hvorfor du begynte med podcast. Jeg sier, det her er ikke en vanlig podcast, i den forstand at jeg har noe lyst til å sitte her og promotere meg selv, eller sånne ting. Det er en del av en stor energi og en stor bevegelse som starter med denne pandemien. Det er ikke noe tvil om det.
Definitely. And I think this is, I used to look, as I said, and according to, you know, people who believe it, who are spiritual, it's not what happens, but it's how you observe it that matters. So, right? And also, so for me, the pandemic, yes, it was something different. It meant something different to me in the beginning, but now it's completely different. It means something completely different to me now.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, it is the pandemic. For me, it's a great awakening, a great teacher.
Ja, det må jeg si meg enig i, fordi når dette begynte, jeg har aldri vært så oppglødd noen gang. Jeg klarte ikke å holde kjeft i 5 minutter, skjønner du? Jeg var så... Jeg bare... Og de bare... Ja, nei, nå snakker vi ikke mer om det. Ja, greit, nå lar vi det være. Og så bare... Så, og jeg har gått i dvale, altså. Jeg har gått i en slags sånn dvale og ikke visst hva det var, sånn, ok, jeg går på trening og sånn, men dette her da kan du si at det vekte meg virkelig med en sånn, hva er dette her? Dette her er altså så, fordi det kom så massivt, og det var så ulogisk, men så var det så lett å pelle det fra hverandre og se det, og så var du bare en av de, det var ikke så mange som så det, så det var morsomt.
I think the transformation that I've seen in people, the transformation that I've seen in myself, how I've changed as a father, because of this pandemic, how I communicate with my children, right? How I've changed as a brother, as an uncle.
Men vet du, når du sier det, så det er det samme med meg. Jeg har forandret meg, men jeg trodde det hadde egentlig noe med podcasten, og at jeg ikke trenger, siden det er mange som hører på meg nå, så trenger jeg ikke å snakke så høyt, eller jeg kan være roligere i måten jeg er på, men det har skjedd det samme med deg på en måte. Exactly. At man blir med tryggere i seg selv. Så det har kanskje ikke noe med podcasten å gjøre i det hele tatt?
Definitely. And I also want to mention about the podcast or whatever. Like there was earlier you were saying, okay, we are caught in our little society, the micro society, and we have our close, just the friends, just the acquaintances around us. But then now we are learning with technology, we need to work less. Right, we have more time in our hands. Of course, there's the drugs and all those things which tempt you. But then, for a moment, if you take a break from that and look at the amazing things around you, and get yourself involved in something that inspires you. Like there's this amazing person who I know who makes chocolates. So and she's made a business out of it. And then. The most beautiful thing that she told me was it was not just about setting up a company making chocolates, but it's discovering myself.
For det hele handler om å gå mot noe som interesserer deg. Det er der du finner, det er derfor vi har de følelsene vi har, for de skal styre oss, ikke sant?
And to learn about yourself. Who am I? You know, what are my limitations? You know, what are my inspirations? What are my skills? And unless you try something, you never know. You know, and then that specific thing that you do, like what happened to me at Media Monday, I never desired to be Nick Sheriff, who I am right now, or what the world knows as Nick Sheriff. I just started Media Monday just to get a job. Because I struggled as a foreigner, I couldn't speak Norwegian, and then I work in marketing and communication. So you know, it was not was not the perfect candidate. But then as Media Monday grew and my network grew and then my net worth grew with that, and to be able to, just pick up the phone and call IBM and say, hey, I want a meeting with you this week. Yeah. To come to that position and to have that kind of reputation in society. So when you start doing something out of passion, there's always something amazing that comes out of it.
Ja, for det jo det samme med meg.
Of course, I'm not talking about going and setting fire to, buildings and stuff like that, if you're that type of person, but, something like how we're doing right now.
For det det samme med meg, og jeg kan se noen interessante folk, selv om jeg litt sånn shy ennå med å ta kontakt med folk, og jeg synes det litt sånn flaut ennå. Men det nesten så jeg kan ta opp telefonen og ringe til folk som I hvert fall I det miljøet og snakke, hei du, og sånn, og det jo en posisjon som jeg aldri kunne hatt før. Så det jo litt, det veldig kult.
I think that's amazing. And I think that's where moving forward, what I personally would like to send as a message is whatever that is that you're inspired by, follow your heart. I mean, start. Just start. Don't think about it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Was your podcast perfect?
No. Det var bare noen webkamera og noen datamaskin her. Det var ingenting. Og så var det en som kjøpte noen mikrofoner og en sånn boks til meg. Så sa jeg tror på dette her. Vær så god. Og så bare var det starte å prate, så... Og jeg ville egentlig ikke... For det ikke vits... kjøpe noe utstyr før du vet det verste som du kan gjøre jo å overkjøpe noe så du bare blir noe dårlig ut av det. Det bedre at det vokser I takt med at det blir noe mer ut av det.
Exactly.
Det sånn man må begynne med det små, og hvis det noe liv laget så blir det større av seg selv, jeg vet ikke.
I think that this is exactly coming back to what we talk about sustainability. Just start with what you have. If you want to make a movie, if you want to make a cake, if you want to make chocolates, if you want to make glasses, whatever, right? If you want to make clothes, start with what you have, and then see how you could grow from that point onwards. And I think because this is very important, because we're talking about this new paradigm, which has been created thanks to the pandemic, so as to speak. So we see large corporations failing. Right, we are seeing small companies which, for example, just take the example of Tesla, unknown company, nobody knows it existed, and it came out of nowhere, and it took over Hondas and Mercedes and BMWs and Audis and just wiped them off the sheet and became the biggest manufacturer or the most reputable manufacturer of cars, right? And so today, this disruption is happening everywhere. So $1 million large solution from a big corporation could be replaced with an app on your phone where you could download it for free and use and do exactly the same thing that solution does. Right? So we are seeing a new industrial revolution. What I call is a technological renaissance where technology has become so cheap and it's become so personalized, so you can create, if you desire, you're a biker, as I saw your GSXR. So if you desire a bike that fits your personal needs, right? You can actually today manufacture, or you can not manufacture, but you can create that bike for no cost at all. You can customize your bike with the technology that you have at hand.
Hva mener du nå, Nick? Det skjønner jeg ikke helt. Hva tenker du nå?
Okay, let's say the bike is a little bit too small for you.
Yeah.
And
it is.
And I know. I saw the bike and I saw you, right? And you want to adjust it in such a way that you want to make sure that it fits you perfectly when you sit, especially when you're taking a a straight, and you want it to be more aerodynamic, and you need the components to be a different dimension, right? You can very easily restructure these components on your computer and just send it to a 3D printer and 3D print it and fix it on your bike. It could be plastic, fiber, carbon fiber, any type of metal, anything. So you can change the the pegs.
Kan en sånn 3D-printer gjøre det nå?
Oh, everything.
Everything?
Everything.
And it's becoming cheaper and cheaper,
Oh,
right?
Definitely. So because, for example, I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm a Star Wars crazy about. So I want to have all the spaceships from Star Wars.
Ja.
So what do? I'm downloading all the schematics,
Ja.
and I'm getting it all 3D printed, so I can play around with them when I want to. So I have everything from the Super Star Destroyer to the Millennium Falcon to the X-Wing.
Men den 3D-printinga som du prater om her nå, vent nå litt. Ja, men du får ikke en funksjonabel motorsykkel som du kan 3D-printe?
Oh yeah, of course.
Nei!
There are cars, fully functional cars, 100% 3D printed. Everything from the engine to the drive, everything, the drive shafts, shocks, everything.
Oh my God.
Because you can 3D print, today you can 3D print steel, metal, alloys, everything.
Oi. Okay.
So this is where we live in, and this is the mission of Media Monday. Coming back to is to show people that they live in 2022,
Ja.
and not in 1950.
Du, jeg ønsker meg en sånn 3D-printer, jeg.
Go for it, my friend.
Ja, men hva er det? Men fortell litt mer om det der. Det var veldig spennende. Hvor dyrt, eller hva er det vi prater om her nå, det 3D-print-greiene? Jeg har jo bare så vidt hørt om det, sett litt grann, og de klipper ut en sånn liten rar greie, men den er ikke noe fin, hva skal man den liksom, tenkte jeg. Men fortell litt om det der.
Well, for all of you Norwegians, if you're in Oslo, you can go to Deichman's bibliothek, in Bjervika. So there you can play around a little bit 3D printing for free, and there are very very user-friendly software where you do not need to know anything. Just you need to know how to move a mouse and click. That's all you need to know to literally use that software. So anyone who knows how to move a mouse and how to click the mouse, you can try it out. And they guide you. There are people there to help you out, to show. So that is somewhere nice to get yourself. And I believe other Deichman's Bibliothek branches around the country have this facility as well. So start playing around with that. And so it's all free. So even if you screw up, the government bears the cost, right? But once you're there, then once you get your skill, once you have a basic understanding of 3D printers, then there are so many different levels, from a basic home 3D printer, which costs about 3,000 kroners. You can buy a used one for 1,500 kroners, right? And the software is free, so you can actually start playing around with that. So if let's say you want to change the fairing on your bike, right? So you definitely you can either design your own fairing, if you're an artistic person, or you can steal somebody else's design and copy that design. Right? There's so many other ways. I mean, you're a gangster, so you know how to. I don't have to tell you how to steal shit, right? And otherwise, you can also use a scanner, and today you can scan with your phone, right? So you can buy a small additional piece of equipment that you fit onto your phone, and you can actually scan a fairing from another bike. Let's say you like a fairing of a Yamaha or a R1 or something. So you just scan the fairing, and then you upload the schematics onto this, and it'll print it for you.
Men hvor dyr en sånn 3D-printer som kan printe noe sånt da?
Well, since the fairing is just plastic, so it's not that expensive.
No.
If it's going to be more exotic, if you're going to have titanium or magnesium or magnesium or so on, so obviously the price increases, but not as much as you think it is.
No.
So it's surprisingly cheap to acquire this. So the whole idea is, first of all, you understand what is it that you actually want to create, and what are the components, what are the material. Like, for example, we especially in where I come from in Sri Lanka, where it is, number one, it's not legal to ride the kind of bikes that you ride. So only guys like, like we can only ride up to 250 cc.
In Sri Lanka?
In Sri Lanka, right? So it has to be someone like me who actually rides 1,000. Because, we don't follow the rules, right? So when we ride big bikes, since these bikes are not freely available, we have to bring them down from foreign countries, and if the fairing breaks, so what we do is we replace the brackets, right? And so now the bracket is not a weight-bearing structure; it just only needs to bear the weight of the fairing. So it doesn't have to be so strong. So based on that, we don't have to make it super strong with carbon fiber, or we can make it with carbon fiber. So you don't need a very, very sophisticated 3D printer for that. You can buy a basic one, so just to do some repairs and so on and so forth. But if you want to actually completely remodel your bike or completely redesign or rebuild the entire fairing with carbon fiber, then you need a little bit of a more sophisticated 3D printer, which still is not expensive.
Så det betyr at hvis vi en mange folk, så kan man spleise på en sånn veldig dyr, fin 3D-printer da?
Definitely. And today, the sharing economy is the fastest growing economical model in the world, where I can, for example, come and rent this room, which we are having, this podcast, for my, and then, if you're, if you have the right insurance for your bike and the level of love, right? That's important.
Yeah.
I can rent your bike as well, considering that I have a license, right? Well, if you're crazy enough, you can rent it to me anyway, even if I don't have it, right? So the sharing economy is a very integral part of the future economy, of the sustainable economy that we live in, because my car sits at home 3 weeks of the month. It sits at home. So of course my car isn't the most it's the most luxurious car. Otherwise I can rent it out, right? So someone else in my neighborhood can always rent it out and do it. So the sharing economy model is growing. Like what's the biggest company that rents out apartments is Airbnb.
Yes.
Right. So on. So once you really focus on being part of the sharing economy, right, and you think from that angle, you would see that you have, like me and someone very special, we're taking a trip, planning a trip, and the whole idea is to not just drive from point A to point B, but stop over at different places and rent out hytte, cottages, so we not just enjoy the drive, and each other, but we also enjoy lovely scenery, that the cottages provide. So we don't have to own this hytte. We just, go to a website and just rent it, right? We can even rent the car, right? If we don't want to drive the car that we have. So it goes on and on and on. So if you want to, in between, want to use a tent, we can rent a tent, right? So it goes on and on and on. So once you start thinking in this aspect, that means what stops me from renting a yacht for my 50th birthday, right? I should do that actually. That's a good idea. So we can live the same lifestyle who some consider billionaires or multimillionaires live today, at no cost at all. Right, and I have a person who I know of a person. He is very much in touch with a lot of he's got family in Eastern Europe, and he has this project where he goes to very wealthy people, who are not wealthy but people who have, like your place, who have got their homes from their families who inherited. But unfortunately, they don't have, and these are very expensive houses, they don't have the finances to build them up. And this guy says, okay, I will take over your house. I will build it up for you, right? Very good quality and so on and so forth. You have no cost, but I get to live there for 2 to 3 years. So you have a super luxury, you have a really luxury house overlooking the beach, and, most probably in a place like Nordstrand or somewhere like that, and for free. So once you learn how to trade your services for whatever that you desire, right? It could be accommodation, it could be transportation, it could be just a lovely, penthouse apartment to take your family or someone special. Anything. Once you learn exactly how to trade your services for what you desire, and you're somewhat decent at communicating. You don't go and say, "Okay, give me your house," right?
No.
Right, and if you know exactly how to communicate, you can actually live the most amazing life you can think of.
Huh.
Right, like my ex-wife, she's a wedding. She marries people. She's part of this Humanist Forbund. She's a minister, and she gets paid to travel around the world to marry people. So
Pretty,
right?
Bra jobb.
So she was in Turkey about 3 weeks ago or something like that, in the most amazing city in Antalya, marrying a couple, and her and her boyfriend, they were paid flights, accommodation, food, everything. So if you know exactly how to use your skill sets, and if you know how to be like General Kenobi and negotiate, right, properly, you can have anything you desire.
Hvilken Kenobi var det? Er det fra Star Wars?
Yeah.
For jeg har akkurat sittet og sett på en sånn serie med han Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ja. Nei, det er veldig spennende. Så du ser for deg, for siden du liker science fiction, så er det allerede litt sånn foran hele tiden, se hvordan samfunnet skal forandre seg i fremtiden, ikke sant?
I think so. I think this is a very good point that you brought out now, and I know people have their reservations about Disney, but I think in one way Disney is doing an amazing thing because they have the marketing power and the financial backing and all that behind them, and they're bringing sci-fi into the foreground once again with series like the Book of Boba Fett and General Obi-Wan Kenobi and so on and so forth.
Jeg har sett de to seriene der, skjønner
du. Right?
Yeah.
And just as Elon Musk says, to understand the world we are living today in 2022, you have no choice but to be someone who is into science fiction, because we are living in science fiction, but we are thinking still from the Stone Ages.
Ja.
So we are living in a science fiction movie.
Så dette er en del av det The Great Reset som du ser for deg, ikke sant? Det er ikke bare den oppvåkningen med den fjerde dimensjonen, eller hva det folk prater om her, men det er også et skifte et totalt skifte i alt.
Exactly.
Teknologi også, ikke sant?
Exactly.
Og en helt annen måte å forme samfunnet på.
Definitely. So I think what's beautiful is, because also I happen to be a spiritual person somewhat, so I'm very much interested in spiritual learning and meditation and being awake and connecting with my higher self, so on, and learning a lot about what it is to be in 5D.
Hva er det folk prater om der? Jeg har ikke skjønt hva du mener. Altså.
I can only tell this from my point of view, because that's what I know. Right? So from what I believe in 5D is that it is how you perceive the world. As I told you earlier on, it's not what happens, but it's how you perceive.
It always is.
Right.
For du kan bare gjøre sånn klikk, så kan du se det fra en helt annen vinkel, og så er det plutselig bra i stedet. Du velger selv.
Definitely.
Ikke sant?
Right? So that's what I believe 5D is. It's about how you perceive the world, because there could be two people who could be sitting, looking at a wall, right? And one person could be just miserable looking at a blank wall, and the other person could see a blank canvas that he can paint on.
Ja, det er helt... Du vet, jeg husker når disse... det var noen serier som gikk på TV, som Twin Peaks. Og da så jeg med en gang at noen, når de ser noe rart, de liker ikke. Aldri sett det før, de bare, nei, få det bort. Mens jeg ble veldig nysgjerrig. Hva i all verden er det her? så jeg blir glad, nysgjerrig og glad når jeg ser noe jeg ikke har sett før. Så det jo en totalt helt forskjellig oppfatning av, og det betyr jeg liker nye ting, jeg liker å se noe nytt, jeg liker å få noen nye ting inn. Så jeg nysgjerrig på alt nytt. Mens andre skeptiske når de ser noe nytt. De liker ikke nye ting, de vil ha det samme gamle, så det totalt helt forskjellig persepsjon. Det bra engelsk-norsk ord?
Yeah. No, I think that's true because one thing that I learned from.
Så dette har noe med 5D å gjøre, egentlig, hvordan man oppfatter ting.
Exactly. Like for example, my son, when he sees rails, like for example, the door behind you is on rails, suddenly it's a train for him.
Yeah.
You know, so for someone else, it's just a rail. It's just so he becomes very excited about his thing. So we have to have the childlike mindset.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel that's what I see amongst people who I call awaken. They have that
nysgjerrig og glad når du ser noe nytt, så spennende.
Exactly.
Ja.
And even the same old thing, they don't see it anymore as that same old thing.
Ja.
It's something really exciting. You know, it's a new way of looking. It's a new angle of looking at things. So I believe we have to adopt this childlike mindset of that aspect of the child who's very curious and who sees a new aspect to it. Oh, this microphone. Oh, I didn't know that this specific thing moves as well. You know, and so once you start looking at the world from a child's perspective, then you see things that what our current education system has sort of blocked us from seeing.
Det altså sånn, men sånn det med alt som ting som blir prakka på deg. Du vil ikke ha det, ikke sant? Du vil gå mot det du selv synes nysgjerrig, det da du vil ha det. Og det sånn når du blir sittende på skolen der og blir prekk, og det merket med folk også, at de skadet av skolevesenet.
Oh, yes.
Fordi når de prater om å høre nye ting, eller lære noe nytt, de bare, nei! På grunn av skolen. Det på grunn av skolen som har gjort det. Fordi det ikke riktig å putte små unger til å sitte stille så lenge og bli prakka på noe som de ikke har bedt om. De har ikke bedt om det engang.
Definitely not.
Eneste som de gjør det for å tilfredsstille lærer eller foreldre. Det eneste grunnen til at de gjør det. For å få ros fra lærer eller foreldre.
Of course, yeah.
Ja, men det ikke alle som får ros der heller, og det ikke og det ser vi jo nå med dette covid-greiene også, hvis vi prøver å argumentere eller dytte på folk meninger, det går ikke, det kan bare glemme. Du kan bare glemme det. Hvordan jeg ser etter skjulte sannheter, som jeg kaller det, for jeg blir nysgjerrig. Og det noe som har holdt unna for meg, da går jeg mot det. Men hvis noen prøver å prakke på meg mening, det jo derfor jeg ikke vil ha meningen. Ingen vil ha det.
Definitely not.
Ikke sant?
Definitely not.
And
one of the things that a lot of people tell me, one of the discussions I had recently was about the so-called people who willingly accepted whatever that they had to do during the pandemic with the jabs and all this stuff. And their point of view is they're innocent. So I'm just innocent, you know, so I'm doing what they tell me to do. And I said, my point of view was like, okay, so just because you're innocent, you allow anyone to do anything illegal, to use as something that you do not desire, right? For example, if you are sitting in a train or T-bane, in fact, and somebody takes your purse, right? Oh, I'm innocent, so I'm just going to allow that person to take my purse, right? That is not even innocence, that's cowardliness. So a lot of...
Det skjønner jeg, men det ikke alle som forstår konsekvensene av å bli med på dette, fordi de har ikke sett at det kan få store konsekvenser. Men vi som ser at når Ingvild Kjerkol har vært nede og skrevet over TVO, at de kan gjøre hva de vil med oss i neste pandemi, så da å drive og gå med på dette her og ikke protestere det ikke bra.
Of course.
Så da må vi si fra.
And I think moving on, I believe personally that those of us who see the truth, who are not afraid to speak up against what's happening, we are going to be perceived as the future leaders of humanity.
Det var voldsomt.
You know, and my biggest message is that we are all, if you look amongst those people who see the truth, who are fearless enough to speak about it, to question it, to stand up against what's happening, you yourself who are watching this, you would see that you're unique, and those of you who stand with you, even if they're not educated according to the mainstream education system, you will see their level of intelligence, like yourself, right, is at another level, the level of understanding. That you, as you mentioned earlier on, you spoke to the head of a large media corporation. At the same time, you speak to some of the biggest criminals or drug users and so on.
There's no difference. There's
right?
no difference.
But what's the difference is that you have the ability to speak to both these people and treat them equally. Not everyone has that ability, right?
No, that's right.
Right? So you see,
that's right.
Right. So those of us who know what's going on, you see within yourself and within those others who are around you who see what's going on, there is a deeper, something much more deeper, a deeper knowledge, a deeper ability to reach into yourself and see your own darkness and see the darknesses in other people as well as the good as well, and a way greater understanding of things around the world, simply because you're fearless to ask why. To question that, to understand that, instead of saying, no, I do not want to talk about this, you know? And there's a lot of people who are like that, like, no, like the lady who ran out of the event, the lawyer, when the ex was on stage. So certain people, and then you clearly see that this is nothing to do with education or science. This is complete brainwashing. It's something to do, it's something like a religious cult. Like,
it is.
Right?
It's like a religion. It is. It's not logical at all. It's like something, yeah, it's veldig kaldt. Og jeg husker ikke, det var litt morsomt ord de hadde på den der coviden, men jeg husker ikke. Jeg glemte det.
Right, and I think it's so my message to those of us who understand what's going on in the world right now, there has never been a more important time for you to come together as a united community. Put aside your egos, right? You know, everyone has their own personal perspective. As long as you know, you have an understanding there is something dark going on in the background. And it's been destroying humanity for so many years, and it is, and it pulled its one of the most worst things that you can think of the past 2 years. So if you truly understand that, and if you truly believe in this darkness, that's all that you need to have in common with the other person. You may be a blonde, blue-eyed person or a brown. Yes. Person like me, it doesn't matter. You may be of one religion, or no religion or spiritual. It doesn't matter. As long as you have a clear belief, you truly believe there is a darkness and a dark entity that's controlling everything and that is driving humanity to the abyss. That's all that you need to know to come together as one. So everything else, just put it aside. It's just your ego. Because there's never been a time in history to stand together. This is war.
Det fint sagt. Ja, det veldig smart sagt. Det sant. Og det jo det alle statsledere skjønt, men vi trenger en felles fiende for å stå sammen. Det alt vi trenger. Vi trenger ikke å være like på alle områder. Vi trenger ikke å mene det samme en gang. Det masse ting, så det det vi trenger, at vi kommer fra alle kanter, alle samfunnslag, alle raser, alle. Vi må komme sammen. Og må fjerne de som har styrt her frem til nå. Fordi det så mye ondskap som, og dette de lar dette skje for å styre verden i en retning som de vil. Alle de krigene, alle det hunger, alle den sulten, alt det her, det har de latt foregå. Det ikke noe tilfeldig med det her.
I think one of the things that I learned when I was pretty young from my parents, because my country was under the British rule since till 1948, just as India and Bangladesh and Pakistan, and they had a system called divide and conquer. So they could come between you and me and say, oh, look at this guy, you know, he thinks this about you, and they can come at me and say, oh, you know, he is not good enough to talk to you. So they can all so what our difference.
That's what they're trying so desperately to do now.
Exactly.
With everything, with the pride, with the Muslims, with everything now. So
I mean, variety is the most amazing thing. Go into the forest and see how many different trees are growing together in the same place, right? Variety is the most beautiful thing. And I am, you know, my ex is a Norwegian person. My children are half Norwegian, half Sri Lankan. So I love variety, right? And they have taken variety and weaponized it.
Yes.
So don't allow that to happen. Don't make whatever that your belief or your color or your gender or your sexual preference, unless of course you're a pedophile, right? You know, and sort of separate you, right? You know, it doesn't matter what you prefer, you know, or what you desire, what you wish, and so on and so forth. Don't let that difference separate you from the other person. Understand, reach out to the people, understand, you know, why that person believes in his religion, or why does that person dress like how he does. Be fearless enough to ask a guy if he's dressed up like a girl, hey, why are you dressed up like a girl?
No problem.
No problem.
Nei.
Right.
Jeg er som en sånn lite barn selv, som går og peker på det første jeg ser og spør, rett ut, høyt, hvorfor ikke? Ikke noe problem.
Yeah.
Nei, det var veldig fin, skal vi si at det blir en avslutning. Jeg synes det var veldig kult. Har du fått, ok, Media Monday. Si det en gang til. Vi legger ut en link under hvor du skriver litt hvor du kan finne deg og det der greiene der. Det er veldig spennende opplegg det
Yeah.
med.
Well, Media Monday is about understanding technology intimately. Because what happened in Sri Lanka when we had a tsunami in 2004, about 120,000 people died who lived along the coast.
Og var det samme tsunami som var I Thailand?
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Right. So it impacted, you know, Thailand and Malaysia and you know, Indonesia and all that. And their thought was that, oh, you know, the sea is just there. We don't care about it. We just, you know, somebody goes and fishes, and we just so they never cared to learn to swim. And the people who died from the tsunami were the people who didn't know how to swim. So today we are facing a tsunami of technology. We are facing a lot of other tsunamis as well. But one of the most undeniable tsunamis that we are facing is technology. So either you can ignore it and die, because it will take over your life. It has already taken over your life. If you're watching this podcast, it has taken over your life, right? So understand technology. You don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to know all the technicalities around it. Just understand what this camera does and why is the camera there for and what is its capabilities. So on. Does it have a microphone? Can it hear what I'm saying? Or does it only take pictures? Right? So on and so forth. So understand technology. And Media Monday is about opening people's minds to understand technology and how it could, and so that you're safe when technology comes towards you. When that tsunami comes, you understand it. You know where its weaknesses are, you know, and you know exactly, like the people who knew how to swim during the tsunami. They swam. Nothing happened to them. You know, they were the ones who were rescuing the other people who couldn't swim. Right? So it's the same mindset that we propagate, or the same way same message that we send. Understand technology. Understand what it can do, what its capabilities are, what its limitations are, and where it's going, you know, and then in return, you will be able to not be controlled by technology, but be able to control technology for your advantage.
Du, Nick, hvordan ser verden ut om 10 år?
Well, that's an interesting question. I haven't actually thought about it, because as a spiritual person, I live for the moment.
Men 10 år mye nå, vet du.
Yeah.
Ingen som klarer å...
No.
Ikke mulig. Det går så fort nå. Og det kan vippe begge veier. Vi har ikke veier.
Definitely.
Hæ? Det står åpent her nå.
Definitely. We could just have suddenly starships approaching out of nowhere and saying, okay, let's go home and just teleport us, right? And we'll be gone to wherever we come from. So it could be anything. That is one of the...
Og det morsomt.
Yeah.
Alt kan skje.
Anything can
Alt kan skje, hæ?
From what has happened up to these 2 years.
Ja. Alt kan skje. Fy fader. Nei, skal vi bare si takk for at du kom, Nick.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Og så, bare si en ting, fordi hjelper du meg å kjøpe noen klær, eller?
Of course.
Så hvis han har holdt løftet sitt nå, så kommer jeg på neste podcasten til å sitte med litt finere klær og se ut som en ordentlig mann, for at jeg skal forandre meg litt.
Du en ordentlig mann.
Ja, jeg har litt så guttete klær. Yeah. Jeg har bare klokka her. Nei, tusen takk for at du kom, Nick.
It's my pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much.
Ja. Ja.